I'm back. What's up, YouTube? Eugene here, and I want to do a follow-up on Le Lion de Chanel. And I mean, it's an exciting time. Chanel's out with a new Les Exclusifs, and Le Lion is fantastic. I can't stop thinking about it or wearing it, so I just want to go deeper with this. We want to go meta. We can always go deeper. I've talked about Santal 33 in quite a few videos, and somebody had once asked, like, how many times are you going to talk about Santal 33? Well, you know, I can talk about it as many times as I want. There's no rule. YouTube doesn't forbid you from, talking about the same perfume over and over again. The perfume gods haven't said you can only talk about this in one video. So I want to talk about Le Lion. And I can, it's my right to. So we are going to. I saw all of your comments and questions. I'm going to get to those. I'm going to, go a little bit deeper, dive into your questions, and share my feelings. But I want to share this. I want to acknowledge a viewer. I got your holiday card, Catherine. Thank you so much. So thoughtful of you. I love receiving gifts like this. Happy holidays to you and everybody else that's watching. First of all, it is Christmas Eve. Whatever you celebrate, I wish you a very happy celebration, very safe one, and just be joyous and stuff like that. I've got what am I looking for? So I did wear, I swear I'm losing my mind. My memory's slowly fading. And that's the truth. I did wear Le Lion again today. I did have to go into work. And I want to say, every time I've worn it, it's reacted different on me. And I'm getting different results. And it is a very complex fragrance. There's, a lot of concern about it not being very original and not being unique. And Guerlain just redoing genres. Yeah, I'll agree with that to a certain extent. Yes, it's not the most unique theme, but I think, it takes a little bit from here and there, like I said in my previous video, but there's not one thing that exactly reminds me of. It reminds me of, sure, a little of Shalimar or a little of one of the Serge Lutens, either Borneo or Ambre Sultan. A little here, a little there, but at the end of the day, it's really its own fragrance, and I don't think any of those do it quite as well as Le Lion. So today on me, it was very, it was very dry and woody, and the sweetness came out. I got a lot of that, almost like burnt tonka or some kind of sweet toffee or caramel, and it was very burnt and crispy. Somebody had asked me, let me get to some of your comments. I plucked out a couple of interesting questions or comments. So the first one was from Thapello 3, and I noticed a few of you didn't really like the way I went after Dior, which is fine. There's going to be Dior fanboys or Chanel fanboys, and we can all love what we love. There's no rules to that. And I admit my ego got in the way, of course, my beliefs and whatever it is. I believe Chanel is the better brand. Fragrance-wise, I think they are the leading brand right now in the market in all of perfume, and nobody does work the way Chanel does. But a few of you felt that, didn't like my comments, which is fair enough. So let me get into this. And he says, I guess he didn't like my attack on Francois Demachet, because he says, Demachet's Dior Rose Les Elixirs Précieux is a masterpiece of a fragrance that can please European and Arabian perfume connoisseurs. Cartier's Oud line is well made and not synthetic, smelling like other designer oud brands. And yes, I agree. Cartier's Oud line is really well done. I love what Mathilde Laurent is doing over at Cartier, and it's almost like a well-hidden secret. I do own the majority of those ouds with the exception of the mint, and now there's an even newer one after the mint came out, and it's called Amber Oud. I've smelt them both. I don't think I'll be purchasing them. I just can't imagine myself. I don't have the room. I don't have, I just not something that I need. I don't feel like I'm compelled right now to purchase them, but I think they're both really good. I think the whole line is exceptional. Regarding is it authentic oud or not, I believe reading interviews, it said, Mathilde says, yes, they're a real oud, but most brands will say that, with the exception of Wasser. Wasser did admit to, using a norlimbinol in his Absolutes d'Orient. But, with Francois Demochet, my whole point, my whole, attack was, how can I believe in this brand when they don't believe in the brand themselves? And with this this attar that you're talking about, the Rose, these are 3 ml attars that sell for $400, which is subjective. What they sell for price is always subjective. And I've smelt them all. None of them, and this was a brief testing, none of them completely blew me away on the spot in order to warrant a purchase. But I also know well enough that they could change drastically during the wearing. And I'm sure it's beautiful, like you say. My problem is these as well have been discontinued. So Dior's given up on them for whatever reason. The reason usually is they don't sell. Okay, this is my problem with Dior. They give up and they just discontinue stuff only to relaunch new stuff. And then what happens? That stuff gets discontinued as well. It's almost like they have no faith or they have no pride, really. Yeah, so that's my feelings on that. That's been discontinued. Rami asks, do you get any burning oud or incense out of it? An excellent question, Rami. Do I get any oud from Le Lion? And again, this is very subjective. This is, oud itself is, lots of brands will say, yes, there's oud in here. They'll name a perfume, oud. They'll have oud in the name, and I'll be like, oh man, this is not oud, or I don't know what oud smells like. And, you can go, like, things that come to mind are Oud Isfahan, okay, from Dior. No oud, I get a ton of labdanum, and I think that's what they're using to replicate oud, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, because 99.9% of Western perfumes are using a synthetic oud in their compositions. Leather oud, there's no oud. There's a smoke note, lots of smoke, and a lot of times what these brands will do is they'll add smoke in there, and it's to replicate the smoke from oud chips. So smoky wood, smoked woods, charred woods, smoked oud, and that's what I get from things like leather oud, Oud Isfahan. They're both kind of skanky to replicate that skankiness from oud, but also from things like satin mood. I get a lot of that smoke nuances from Roja Oud, very smoky. I don't get oud, but I get a lot of smoke notes, which are used to replicate the smokiness. Even M7, M7 has that sensual oud smoke, and that's really what I get from Le Lion is smoked woods, charred woods. I don't get that synthetic norlimbinol that's used to replicate oud. And that's used in a lot of compositions, and sometimes they'll even use it without mentioning oud. I think Wasser uses norlimbinol in his L'Homme Ideal line just to give the fragrance some throw in the dry down. In the base, it gives it some depth, and just a touch of it. It adds a little bit of woodiness, but you know, nowhere do they admit to, or nowhere do they put in the marketing brief that there's oud, but I can feel that same synthetic used to replicate oud is used in L'Homme Ideal, especially the eau de toilette. So, I mean, this is all perception. Western oud is more of a perception than the real thing. Frederick Malle, I think he's one of the best examples of oud. You know, he claims to be using real oud, and I can see it in the night and dawn, real oud. Not so much in the moon or promise, but also in the dawn, he uses an overabundance of labdanum, which can get quite skanky, woody, smoky, leathery. It has all of the same facets that smoked woods would have, and Le Lion has, you know, a buttload of labdanum. You know, there's a lot of it in here. I'm just gonna spray some in here. So I do get a lot of smoky nuances, but it's not just smoke. Like this to me is not just it's not just black smoke. This is nuanced notes. Like, let's say in Gucci's Alchemist's Garden, they have, you know, the Voice of the Snake and A Midnight Stroll, both kind of in the black bottles, marketed towards the Middle East. Those are very smoky. Those are much more smokier, where you actually see black smoke. It's tarry. You know, it's almost like they're using some kind of petrol to replicate smoke. Wow, this is insane. Here, I don't get the visual of black smoke, but I get a smoky leather. I get smoked woods. I get smoked vanillas. I get smoky labdanum. I get, you know, smoky burning wood chips, smoky, that smoky cosmetics vibe. So all the notes are nuanced with smoke instead of just adding a smoke note, which I think this is much more clever in that sense. So no, Chanel did not. They're not marketing this as oud. You know, they're not cheapening out or going after that. Hey, this is our oud. But would I say there's oud in here or some kind of scent? Yeah, I would say there is. From everything that I know what oud is from Western perfumes, I would say yes, this has all of those same facets in it. Smoked wood chips. So I would say yes, there is some sort of oud in here. It's not medicinal. It's not oily oud like the Frederick Malles, but there is an effect of smoked oud chips, and that's my answer. Yes, I would say there is oud in here. Couple comments saying Le Lion is excellent, but Coromandel is still queen. And another one saying, I tried this, it was okay. Nothing new, kind of weak, not strong at all, which I disagree. It is probably the strongest Les Exclusifs. Coromandel is still the best from the line, not even the competition. But yeah. So a lot of people still preferring Coromandel over this. And, you know, I can see why, but right now my preference is Le Lion. I find it just deeper, more interesting, and it's just kind of more my vibe. This is what I'm into. Somebody says you've put on some weight during COVID. I have. Thank you for noticing. Yes, it's got nothing to do with, you know, COVID. It's more my diet and just not exercising the way I like. So my friend David, he's obviously a Dior fanboy and kind of taken beef with me going after Francois, and says, you know, as for Demochet, as much as I agree with you that Dior follows Chanel's path, I still think he's brilliant in the technical aspects of perfumery, and I do respect some of his most recent releases, perhaps not for the complexity, but more about their symbiotic simplicity and technical execution. But that's just my 2 cents. Coming from ego, I seen your comment is from ego too. Yes, this is our opinions, and all opinions, they come from ego, from what we believe and what we believe to be true, which is there's no truth to any of my beliefs about Dior being inferior to Chanel. It's just something that I've rationalized in my own mind. You know, I prefer Chanel, you prefer Dior, and that's the only truth there is to here. Is Chanel technically or conceptually better than Dior? No, there's no truth to that. There's no truth to anything. It's my preference. I will always prefer that. I just don't find the Dior releases as interesting as Chanel's, and you know, those last 3, Purple Oud, and you know, they just feel very sloppy to me. Santal Noir, Oud Isfahan, Oud Rosewood. There's just nothing really interesting in them, and you know, it almost feels like right now Dior has no direction. This brand has no soul to it. They have no aesthetic. There's nothing kind of unifying all their perfumes. It's like they're lost, and they're just being reactive to the market, where, you know, Chanel is proactive and they're leading, and you know, they create on their blazing trails, and they create, and people are watching them. People watch what Chanel's doing, and that's what they're creating after Chanel. And I've seen this from Dior many times. Very reactive. They're a reactive brand. They don't start trends, they follow them, and that's what I've seen. You know, their last great perfume was Dior Homme, and that was from a Chanel perfumer. Olivier Polge created Dior Homme. So that's my stance on it. That's how I feel. You know, doesn't mean I don't like Dior. I'm still I love Dior's perfumes, but I would love to see a little bit of soul in there. You know, stand for something. If you don't, they stand for nothing right now. Nothing. It's kind of lame. So yes, I do prefer this over Coral Mendel. I think, you know, with a little bit more time, this is his Olivier Polge's, so he's done Misia, he's done Boy, 1957, and Le Lion. Somebody said they didn't like the name of Le Lion. It was either on my Instagram or in the video. They don't like the name. And I thought, I love the name, Le Lion. I get, you know, Chanel, why they did it. It was Coco's zodiac, or her birth sign, and she had lions all around her apartment, and she was obsessed with the lion. More so its symbolic nature than the animal itself, and they weren't trying to recreate the scent of a lion. But I love the name, you know, Le Lion de Chanel. To me, it's like the lion is the king of the jungle, and Chanel right now is the king of perfume world. You know, nobody can topple Chanel, and that to me is very symbolic. So I like the name much more than, let's say, 1957, which is like Neiman Marcus honoring Coco. I thought that was, you know, I could have done without 1957. I like the name Boy. Boy was okay. You know, Boy was kind of like playing on, it was a word on themes, you know, Boy Capel, who was Coco's lover, and then marketed towards women but called Boy. You know, I like that. I like Misia as well. But I think right now, you know, if Olivier keeps going like this, I think he can one day, you know, 10, 15, 20 years from now, override his father with success. I can see it. Right now, I don't think he's reached Jacques' level yet. If we're looking at, so we've got Le Lion, we've got 1957 Boy and Misia. So four. If we look at Jacques' four best Les Exclusifs, I would say they are Coromandel, probably 31 Rue Cambon, I would put number 2. Number 3, I would say maybe La Pausa. And number 4 would be either Jersey or number 18. And then he's got a bunch of others. I would say those are his 4 best. Let's say number 18 over Jersey. So he's still got a long way to go. You know, after that, let's see what else he's got there. I know he's got Beige and Bella Speedo, and you know, there's the other greats that were created well before his time. We can't give him credit for Sycamore and Bois d'Azil, Gardenia, and Cuir de Russie. You know, those were all created before him. But as far as the mainstream line, Jacques done Anteus, which is going to be hard to beat. He's done Egoiste and he's done Coco. And from the mainstream, you know, he's also done Chance, which is like a write-off. All the Allures are a write-off. Bleu is a write-off. Like, that's not what we're interested in. He did Cristal, but he did the flanker, so we can't give him credit for that. Just like we can't give credit to Olivier for the Bleu Parfum. But he's got a long way to go to catch him in the designer world. You know, if we're writing off Allure and Bleus, then we got to write off Gabrielle as well. So, but I think if he keeps going like this, if he's on this kind of pace for the next 20 or 10 or 15, 20 years, I think he can possibly outdo his dad and put Chanel leave Chanel in good hands. And we'll see from there. But yeah, let me see if there's any other questions here. That might have been it. Yeah, so it's just more people upset about me going off on Dior, but that's okay, you know. It's all good. I'm not upset. I mean, you may be, but yeah, that's what it is. Anyway, might come back and talk about Le Lion some more. I'm sort of kind of mildly obsessed about it. I love it. I'm wearing it. I love everything about it. I think it's brilliant, and you know, it's definitely an exciting time right now. So yeah, there you go. Drop a comment down below. I'm out of here, and love reading your comments. Wishing everybody a safe holiday, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever it is that you celebrate. And we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.